So programs run in a particular order. There's a sequence to them. Well, PHP is very synchronous. Okay, it's going to run one line of code at a time in the order specified by the program. Okay. This is important for you to know how the code is actually going to run. So what it does is when a file opens up, such as this functions.php, it starts at line 1, and then it just goes line by line down through the code in order until it's told to go somewhere else. Okay. So as we're coming down the code, you can see there's an if. It's going to stop right here. And if this is true, so if this is true, then it's going to come here into the code block. And that require says we're going to run code. All right, so we're going to run whatever's in that file. And when we're done loading that up, then we're just going to return. So none of this code down here is going to run. So you do have some controls to decide, okay, I want to load this. Now I'm going to run all that code. And that's what's happening when you load a file. Okay, so you can imagine that you're coming here at this line of code. You load a file, and within that file, it's got code. Okay, and after all of that runs, plus any other files that it might call, then it will come back to here. So think about that when you're running code. Okay, it starts at the top, and you have the ability to say, well, right here, go jump off, go do something else, and then come back to me. And then we'll continue our way. Okay, right here, obviously, we won't. It returns back to what called it. All right, so let's look at that. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to this particular theme. And I'm going to come down. We're going to start right there, and we get right to one line of code, and it says, okay, we're going to go and load Genesis before the child theme runs. Here's something I need to tell you. You might not know this, but with WordPress, when you have a parent and child relationship, the child's theme loads first. So therefore, the functions.php in the child theme loads up first. Then it will load up the parent. Okay. With this architecture, they're saying, okay, we're going to call the child first, but I want the parent to load right here. Okay, so I want it first. And that's what this is doing. It's saying, let the framework, the Genesis framework, load before the child theme, so then we can go and run the code. Okay, so when this happens, we're right here at this line of code. So then it goes and calls that file. Okay, well, let's go look at that file. So it's in lib. Okay, and here's the file right here. If we open that up, all right, we can see what's going on. We're going to run all this code. It's just going to keep running down. Okay, all of this gets loaded into memory. Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. All of this gets defined all the way down till you get to the bottom. And then it runs that to function. It goes and says, now go load all that up. Okay, go do all the inits, which if we came back up here, we would find some inits here. So we're going to run all that code. Then we'll do this code. Okay, so think about that. In the scope of how things run, think about that. We came down to here, to this line of code, and we went and said, okay, Genesis, go run. And it goes and runs some code. When it finally gets done, now the framework's been loaded, then we'll come back to here. Okay. Then we're going to come down, and here's another line of code where we're loading another file. So we'll go into this file, and we'll load that in. When it's done, it'll come back to here. Then we'll go down, and we're going to load this in, load all of this code in. We got another file. Take that, go load all the code. When it's done, come back. So you can see there's a sequence to how things load. Okay. Code does not go and say, I'm going to go to line 12. And then it comes back up here to line 12. It doesn't do that by the way that it's written. Now, there are other languages that let you do that. So if you needed to go back up there again, then you'd have to write some code that lets you do that, lets you loop back through again. Okay. So understanding how code executes, that it goes in that order, and as soon as you get something that's going to load, it's going to go do it. Now, what if you have a loop? So if I had some sort of loop right here, well, then it's going to get to the loop and it's just going to sit here and just loop until it's done. Then when it's done, it'll go and say, okay, go to the next line of code. That makes sense? Understanding this and how things sequence through will help you as you're thinking about where to place and set up the sequence that you want in your code. That's why it's important, because you may say, I need this to happen before this happens. Right? So then you wouldn't put this up here. No, you need to structure things and think about what is the execution order, that sequencing. When do I call this? How do I set that up? How do I want things to run? And the order matters when it's things like this, where, yeah, I need these functions loaded up before I start doing things with them. Okay?